And so, as some of you guys may have heard, if y'all are tuned in live, this is our last one for the month. So, because we're going to, I have a workshop to teach next week, and then it's Thanksgiving, and I'm so excited, and it's going to be with family and having great fun. And so today, I wanted us to talk about our advice for couples going into Thanksgiving, going into family time, not training, traveling. I'm sorry, traveling together. And also, I want to touch a little bit on families after the election, because I know there are some families that are divided over issues, and going into the holidays where the emotions, it felt like for this election really ran high. So a little bit of talking and advice around that. So those are the topics. I feel that was very broad, but everything under like how can we prepare our clients for the holiday season. So okay, who's first? Who wants to go first? Oh wow.
I'll start off because yes, there's so many things that come to mind, and I know this will be one of those things where as we talk about it, so many more things are gonna pop up and come to mind. But you and your partner have to be on the same team. You know, like that's always one of the biggest things with families is feeling like you have each other's backs and you're going into this family get together knowing that your partner has your back and vice versa. That's always really, really huge.
Yeah.
I think also too, another thing that comes to mind is something that like I just remember, Natalie, like you talking about super well when it comes to like boundary setting, still being like really like vulnerable and kind, right? Like really utilizing those I statements of like things coming up with family and being able to say like, guys, I really just want to have a good time with y'all. And if this is something where we can't be together without like talking about this and bringing it up, like I'm going to have to like go get some coffee for a second, or we're going to have to try again next year. Um, but I really just want to enjoy our time together. So like, even though you're still like holding that boundary, it's still like centered around you and your experience. It's not like pointing fingers. And it's still vulnerable, right? It's still
Mhm.
very so those are some of the first things that come to my mind.
Mhm. Thank you so much. Those are great, great, great points. All right, Jessica Renard.
I think what's coming up for me more than anything else is I think a lot of this election was really polarizing in that it felt like uh, people voting against rights and identities to a certain extent, which is hard because that's not a political statement. That's an
Right.
embodied identity. And so I also want to be like, I understand that you have relationships with your family and um, maybe this is a good time to take a break and figure out what traditions look like with your own group of people or
Mhm.
chosen family. Like that is
Mhm.
an invalid way to spend time together.
Yeah.
I always struggle with Thanksgiving because it feels like we're celebrating genocide. So like I have no desire to do Thanksgiving. I mean, like the food's not bad, but like we could have ham or mashed potatoes or stuffing any day we wanted to have them.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would much prefer it at a different time that didn't feel the way it does. And so I think being very aware of what do you need in this time and space.
Mm-hmm.
What does your partner need in this time and space? What do your kids need in this time and space?
Mm-hmm.
Because a friend of mine asked me, like, well, what does Jessica need? And I was like, Jessica needs to be a good mom for her kid, who I need to be thinking about her experience this Thanksgiving, not mine. Like, I'm an adult, I'll take care of myself, but like,
Mm-hmm.
I need to be mindful of what her experience is. And so, and still be mindful of my limits and my boundaries and what that looks like. And so I think not celebrating is an option. Not attending family gatherings is an option. Doing something completely different that doesn't have anything to do with the traditional things is absolutely an option. Creating new traditions is an option. And so I think there's a lot of things outside of the box and outside of the scope that we traditionally think of around Thanksgiving that are completely valid and somewhat important to exercise.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent. That's excellent. So I think I'm gonna piggyback a little bit on that. Um, for off of both of you guys. So I think the first thing I want to say is Brene Brown talks about dealing with people from the perspective of they're doing the best they can. That no matter what they're doing or saying, no matter what beliefs they have or convictions they have, that they are doing the best that they can. And they are trying to make the best decisions for themselves and their lives, even though they may be direct opposition to you. And so, if we could go into the holiday season with that idea of they're just trying to make the best decisions for themselves, just like I'm trying to make the best decision for myself. And at the end of the day, what are the really important things? What's really important to me? And then for couples, again, like Mary Hannah said, having each other's back, just being on each other's side, just hey, we're getting ready to deal with your mom. What do you need from me? What do you need from me? Do we need a secret signal, a secret word? What do we need? What's going to make this trip pleasurable for us, the coupleship? And really kind of having some pre-game conversations about what that will look like. Definitely so. And then just enjoy, just kind of enjoy this time. And I'd love everybody to move into a spirit of gratitude. I would love everybody to practice gratitude like never before, because we know the science about around gratitude. Well, if you can practice gratitude, I think 14 days, you will feel your mood change. And so anybody who's struggling with depression out there, remember how important gratitude is. And you don't have to get out of your bed to do gratitude. Like you could sit in your bed on your phone and write a list of 10 things you're thankful for. And on those really hard days when you can't think of anything to be thankful for, let's go for toe number one, toe number two, toe number three, because somebody's walking around without toes. But, I still have fingers. I still can breathe because somebody's on an oxygen tank. And even if you're the person who's on the oxygen tank, I'm still here. I'm still alive. I'm seeing another holiday season. So, okay, what else is coming up for you ladies?
I hate to be a little Debbie Downer because your
Okay.
message was so wonderful. I guess I'm just thinking of a lot of my friends on my Facebook timelines of like looking at
Mm,
if no fault divorce is gotten rid of, we need to get
mm,
divorced now. If
mm,
Aubergine falls, like we need to have our marriages supported by
mm,
political or like powers of attorney and healthcare, like understanding what that looks like. And when it feels very powerless, when we do for others, that can help us give a sense of agency. And one, soup kitchens and assisted things are usually flooded during Thanksgiving and not and Christmas. Like
mm,
they're not anywhere else. So don't pick Thanksgiving Day to help. Pick that weekend. Pick the day before. Pick a Tuesday. Like try and help out in a way that is beneficial, that's not just on the day that I'm going to do some
mm-hmm.
perfunctory service. But giving back to others and contributing and performing mutual aid can be really uplifting and really empowering when you feel like you don't have a lot of options.
Oh, that's really, really good. That's really good. And I love the different voices because our clients are vastly different. And so we
Mm-hmm.
need all of the different voices. Okay, Mary Hannah, anything else that's coming up for you?
Yeah, one thought for me too, when it comes to, yeah, like preparing to be with family, is even like catching yourself whenever you're going into these imaginary scenarios with your family, right? Like there's a difference between like preparing and then like mentally, internally spiraling. Um, like creating those invisible arguments in your mind
Mm-hmm.
where you are
Mm-hmm.
already getting yourself really scared and defensive
Mm-hmm.
and upset about a
Mm-hmm.
scenario that hasn't even happened yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to catch that and realize like, okay, I'm just feeling really vulnerable and defensive right now. None of this has happened yet. Like
Yeah.
it's okay. And that's its own habit to be able to catch that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and start to like tell yourself like, if it happens in the moment, I'm going to do A, B, and C. So until then, I cannot let myself internally spiral about
Right.
these hypothetical scenarios.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
and just to piggyback off of that real quick, I was actually talking with a client preparing for Thanksgiving.
Mm.
In this plan, we want a fire evacuation route and plan. We don't want to stay in the burning building and figure out how to get out of it while it's on fire.
Yes.
And like Mary Hannah was saying, we don't want to continually set ourselves on fire to
Mm-hmm.
practice. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we need a plan. We need to know what that plan looks like. We need to feel comfortable with that plan and let it go. Like, hope for the best. Because when we
Mm-hmm.
go into buildings, we don't anticipate it going on fire. So
Right.
like we have an expectation that it's going to
Be
stay
safe.
be
Yeah.
safe. And so I think having that and preparing for that evacuation route, those boundaries and where those lines are really helpful.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
so good.
absolutely. Because it makes you like less jumpy too whenever you're there, where it's like if you're going to enjoy your time there, you want to go in feeling as grounded as possible, instead of like one thing happening and you're already like ready to explode and snap because you've been already brewing about it all month.
Mm-hmm. Definitely so. Definitely so. Okay, that's really really good. I want to pivot to something that's personal for me, and so I think you guys may know. Last Friday, I wasn't here because I one of my uncles passed away, and we had his homegoing services last week, and I'm just thinking about going into the holidays without him, and what does it feel like? And so my cousin and I were just saying, making sure, as opposed to just missing him, but pivoting a little bit also to make sure that we're really enjoying every moment. And so just slowing it down so that we aren't running this season. I think it's also making us think, okay, what is really important? I think, Jessica, you said that, like, what's really important here? Who do I
Mm-hmm.
really want to spend time with? And really leaning into that, and how do I cherish the moment? And especially in relationships with couples, how can you guys steal a little time away just to spend with each other? I have so many couples that it's like their lives are just hectic between, we're both working full-time jobs and we're both trying to start a business on the side, and we got 5 kids under 5, and we're both trying to get our PhDs, and we're both trying to do all these things, and we have to take care of our parents, and we need to check in on the community choir, like so many things. And it's a little crazy the weekend after Thanksgiving, but also I think there's going to be a place in there where you can take a breath. That maybe you don't go to every Black Friday sale and you just say, "Hey, we're going to stay in the bed this morning. We're going to let the kids spend the night somewhere else because they had a great time with their cousins, and let them keep having a good time with their cousins," or just figuring it out. But I really want to encourage everybody just to take a breath, take a moment. And so um, I'd love to bring peace back to the holiday season, but that's not the right word. That's the only word I can think of. But just a slower pace to the holiday season, because I think the holiday season in general has gotten really like fast paced, and it's over before you know it. And where did the time go? And so if we could like slow it down just a little, I know a lot of people have time off in December, and so starting in November, usually people start taking off. And so using that time to make great connections, to deepen, just to maybe just sit down and write a list of every relationship that you'd like to deepen a little bit, and figure out a way to do it this holiday season. So yeah, I definitely want to encourage you guys to do that, especially with your baby boomers, because what I feel like energetically, a lot of the baby boomers are at like a bus stop to get out of here. Like, I'm done with this. Y'all can have this AI world, but we're going. And so definitely, if you have baby boomers in your life, um, we don't have 100 more Christmases with them. We don't have 100 more Thanksgivings with them. Um, and all of the other various holidays that we celebrate at this time of year. And so really making sure you take a moment and cherish those relationships. So, okay, what else is coming up for you guys?
I'm going to be the horrible person again. Also,
Mhm.
just because somebody died doesn't mean they're a saint. They,
That's true. That's true.
you can have whatever feelings that is going into the holidays without
Yes. Yes.
said person. Also, one of the things I was thinking of is I've been seeing some really great videos from Jimmy on relationships on Facebook. Um,
From Jenny.
and
Jenny.
Jimmy on relationships.
Oh, okay. It's a whole title thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's his thing. And so he is talking about the mental load around the holidays of
Mm-hmm.
preparing food and making sure
Mm-hmm.
guest rooms are ready and figuring out where people are staying and the timeline and childcare and making sure that the house is clean. And so, like, please have a conversation before this gets started. Have a list of expectations of what do you need to feel like this was a successful meal? What do you need that like this was a successful visit? And do the bare minimum. We don't need to go above and beyond and have everything like all of the decorations need to be out before everyone comes over. Have them help. Like have that be an activity that you guys do
I love
after
that.
Thanksgiving. Like the one person does not need to be in charge of everything. Male, female, non-binary, period. One person does not need to be charged of
Mm-hmm.
everything. And so being very aware of where is the mental load. Are you aware of what the mental load is? Are you aware of how much is on your partner's plate? And how are you stepping up to take things off of their plate?
Mhm.
Definitely so. Mary Hannah?
That was definitely where my mind was going to, Jessica. I was like specifically thinking of the meal preparation in terms of like how so many people's experiences can be like one person is doing everything while the family is chilling out. And yes, sharing that mental load. Also, like it is okay to get creative. It is okay to pick up a at the store. It is okay to place a pickup order at Cracker Barrel. They have Thanksgiving meals ready. Like it can be something where if that's what you need to do this year and y'all still felt like you had Thanksgiving, that is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Figuring out what it is, like how much left you've got in your bank account. Is huge, and you can totally get creative with it. I feel like I had one more thing, but that's definitely a thing that comes to mind is even just that day of what that's going to look like.
Mm-hmm. I think there's what all of this just brought to mind is the statement progress over perfection, but that doesn't really go. But I'm going to change it to present over perfection. And so all of you guys out there who you just wanted to be perfect and I want the tablescape to be perfect and I want everything to be perfect, just take a deep breath. Let's go with imperfect and present. Imperfect and present. And understand it's so much about the relationships that you're building. It's so much about the relationships. I don't think in 5 years everybody's going to be like, "Oh my God, that tablescape she had was amazing." Like, no, I think it's going to be like, remember that grandma said this and we all laughed, and so be present for those moments as hard as it is. And y'all, I get it. I get it. I am the one who, well, I want it to be perfect and let's get this done and I have to have this done and I have to have this on the wall and I have to have and will drive myself crazy trying to get it all done and not I mean I sleep, but I sleep very little. Like I'm up to midnight and I'm up to midnight and back at the bed back up at like 4 a.m. to like just get all of the things done and everything cooked and the rolls made from scratch and like I do it all. And not this year. It's going to be about being present. It's going to be about being present. So I'm going to invite everybody with me to adopt the term for the rest of the year, imperfect and present. Imperfect and present. We're just going to show up as our authentic selves, saying this is what it is and letting it be.
Well, that
Yes.
makes me think of, oh, go ahead, Mariana.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to quickly say too, because I say this with my clients a lot, right? That like when you're expecting perfection, then that means like 100% is passing. And that's crazy, right? Like
Right?
there's no spectrum of success. Like there is no like, well, what are the bare minimums of what you would like? And starting from there into like, well, okay, what's the very tips of like the spectrum of success for you?
Mhm.
And 100% is not passing. Like what, like 70%, 75%.
Right. And I really say with family and friends, it's probably going to be less than that. Less
Yes.
than
Yeah.
that.
I
So,
want to say, like, for being a parent, 30 to 50%.
I feel like she broke out on the most important sentence.
I know. I'm like anticipating on the edge of my seat.
It's so funny how the internet works like that. It always feels like it's on the most important. Like, what? Wait, what? What?
Yes. I had a client where I asked them a question and then like they were thinking about it and then they froze. And so it was this moment of like, wow, they're thinking for a long time.
It's so funny how that happens. And it's so funny because she was so perfect until that one cliffhanger statement.
I know, right? I
So,
know.
all right, if I could guess what she was going to say, I would think that she was going to allude to the research around parenting and what makes a good parent.
Yeah.
And it is usually like being present about 30 to 50% of the time. And so as a parent, there is no like perfection. Like no matter how perfect you think you're getting it, your kid's still gonna have a problem when you grow up. Like just understanding that because there is no perfection, but
Yeah.
being present is hugely important. It doesn't even have to be present 100% of the time. But like
Mhm.
I think 30 to 50%. I'm pretty sure I remember that it was 40%
Mhm.
being present. And I actually remember when I came through school, there was one specific statistic about if a child in like a bad environment can just interact with like one stable adult for 4 hours a week for about 4 hours. So, um, like a coach, a maybe even a neighborhood safe person that they could go by their house but do some chores or like one adult that was kind of safe and stable. It gave them a fighting chance. And so again, we don't have to do it. Doesn't have to be 100%.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be 100%. So for all my people who have perfection issues,
Mhm.
just know that and give yourself a break. And giving yourself a break, let's talk about self compassion.
Yes.
Self
Yeah.
compassion. As we come to the new year, a lot of us will like to look at what we've accomplished this year. And I thought I should have did this, and I thought I should have did this, and I thought I would have been here by now. All right, so self compassion. Well, I wanted this to happen for the holidays and this to happen, and I wanted to be able to do this. Self compassion. Well, I'm going to have to do this next year, and I better do this. Self compassion. And so, no matter what's going on in your mind, just remembering to take it all with a spirit of self compassion,
Mhm.
and as remember that as much plans as we're making, we don't have that much control over the world. Like things are going to change and happen. I was talking to a couple of people and they were saying with the elections, they were like, well, I just don't know what the future has in store. Yeah, but you actually never knew that. So just take a step back, take a deep breath, and remember that you've never been able to read the future. Like you've never. And if you can, please give me those lottery numbers. So I'd love to get these student loans paid off. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna venture out there and say most of us cannot read the future, that we've never been able to read the future, predict the future. And so just take a deep breath and realize we do the best we can. We continue to show up, and that's all we can do.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely. And even like going along with like that sense of self-compassion and just like that sense of self-awareness that people are going to need going into the season is you're
mhm.
going to be more irritable. You
Yeah,
absolutely naturally are because like
yeah,
you're going to be so stressed, getting less
yeah,
sleep, like your
yeah.
mind is going to be all over the place thinking of so many things. Uh,
Right.
and just even just the overstimulation, that moment when all the family comes in the door and then suddenly the house is crazy, like
Yeah,
you are going to be a little more on edge. And so
yeah,
anticipating that there might be things that slowly add up over the day until you're really on edge, and just trying to catch those things before you blow up
yeah,
on
yeah.
family members for one thing that happens, right?
Right.
um,
And
just
remember,
like
y'all, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. It's never the big thing. It's that little thing that like causes the breakdown.
exactly. And I think too it goes into what you were saying before of like imperfect but present, of it can feel like so much pressure to make sure things look right, when a lot of times, of course there are exceptions, but a lot of times people just remember how you made them feel. So like, do they look back and think that like, oh, it looked perfect, or do they look back and remember like that conversation y'all had where like you were really present and you were really there for them?
Yeah,
So just going back to what you were saying of like how you can be really present in those moments and create actually a lot more lasting memories that way.
definitely. So, okay, in our last 4 minutes, out of all of this, I'm going to give very practical tips. Okay. So,
Mhm.
practical tip number one: make things to do list. Like make a list, check it twice. All right, make a list to make it twice. Yeah, there really is something to make it getting everything out of your mind and onto paper. Okay. When you make the list, prioritize it. You know, cleaning out the email box is not necessary for Thanksgiving Day. So make sure we're looking at the list with a sense of really what's important to be done on the list. So make a list, leave some time for self care. So a 10-minute walk in the morning, take an extra lap around the parking lot just because you just need to breathe a minute. So do that as much as you can. Please get sleep and rest, you know. And for those of you guys who are going to binge something over the holiday season, have fun and enjoy, but also leave time for sleep and rest. So something. Because I know a lot of people over the holidays like to catch up on all of the shows that they didn't get to watch all year long. And just have fun and enjoy. I absolutely want the best for you guys. All right. For you, Manhattan, can you think of any like practical tips that they can take away from today?
I love your tips as well of like just making the internal external, getting
Mm-hmm.
out of your head and into your
Yeah.
body. My thing would be have a conversation with your spouse
Mm-hmm.
and say like if like your mom makes that comment that she's made the past couple times, like this is what I would love to see happen, or this
Mm-hmm.
is what would make me feel really supported and like we're
Mm-hmm.
on the same team if this happened. Or even just talking with each other about preparing, like
Mm-hmm.
what are the worst case scenarios, what's our plan, what's our escape plan,
Mm-hmm.
what are we going to do? Have a conversation with your spouse to where you actually feel like you are on the same page. So you're not trying to figure that out in the moment with
Mm-hmm.
family members. Um, I feel like that would be a really big thing.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know. I feel like we've talked about a lot of really great things today. I really love your thing of like imperfect but present,
I
like,
know. I'm going to post that on social media as soon as we get
yeah,
off. I'm so
yeah,
excited.
yeah.
Oh, and then I have a
Because
brilliant idea. I want to say one last thing is, yeah, we are therapists and we're here for you for the holidays. Like, I'm going to take Thanksgiving week off to really spend with my family, but we're here for you for the holidays. So feel free to come on in. It's okay to say, yeah, I need a therapist to make it through the holidays. Like, it's okay. And I feel like I have a couple of clients who we try our best to stay consistent with their sessions through the holidays. And I feel like I probably have one or two clients that we bump up their sessions through the holiday season, because for everybody, it's not a great time of year. And so if you're one of those people that it's not a great time of year, then get the support you need. Add in the extra support. And I think Mary Hannah, it was you who suggested, or Jessica Renard, I think, like you do something completely different. I mean, this might be the year you go skydiving, or rock climbing, or who knows? Who knows? So you can also make it something completely different. So
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
all right, that's our time for today. You guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I'll see you guys back in December, whatever Friday that is in December. So the first Friday in December looks like Friday, December the 6th. See you then. Bye.